Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. I heard it here first. Your Central Texas showcase of premier talent. And this week is by far going to be probably our best week on here, as we do have highlights for the Rockdale game. We have highlights for the Del Valle game. We will have some highlights from Hutto and Manor and their week 4 preview, but it will be Manor's first district game and Hutto coming off of a district win, their second district game. So that will be the game of the week this week. But what we're going to start with this week was I had a week 2 game of the week with Rockdale and Hempstead, and Rockdale did exactly what I thought they would do. They went out there and they kicked some butt with a 28-7 win against Hempstead. Stevens, and Williams connecting for 2 touchdowns. I seen Jeremiah Butler, the way he's been running, the sophomore running back. That dude runs really good. You look at Reagan Jackson, the tight end, he's got really soft hands. He displayed a couple of really great catches against Hempstead. That was a really good that was good to see from their tight end. Help another guy with also Eric Shepard, who's also had a few great catches this year at the wide receiver position, has been a standout on defense. So these Rockdale Tigers are a team that a lot of people doubted. I wasn't one of those. I knew Rockdale was going to be pretty good this year. And looking into their coaching staff, whenever I started getting into the coaching staff, and I saw that they do have Pierce Loft, they do have Gunnar Miller, they have Ethan Brinkley, they have a lot of young coaches that were great athletes for Rockdale, and so the they can relate to some of these players. They have a feel for some of this newer age football, and I think when you have Brinkley and Miller on your coaching staff, you really don't have to worry about quarterback anymore, as both of those dudes are really good quarterbacks for Rockdale. So I think what the coaching staff we have in Rockdale and what Coach Hamrick has brought, as what he has surrounded himself around with, which is some great coaches. We saw what they did in baseball last year. They did tremendous. And so I think Rockdale is going to be just fine this year. They did take a big loss to Lexington. We lost to Lexington 66-7, but DeAndre Stevens did set records with 15 receptions in a game, 230 yards, both school records, single game records for DeAndre Stevens, and he had a receiving touchdown. Lexington is a team that I have to go to state. I think that's a team that can play with Malakoff, that can play with Franklin, and even though they're Division 1 3A and we're in Division 2 3A, don't hang your heads, because that is a dang good football team right there. Those Lexington Eagles. Um, we did have some highlights sent in by Nancy Zinner and Ernest Alderete. Thank you so much for those highlights. We have one where Grayson Williams takes a bad snap. He fumbled the snap. It looks like a busted play. He rolls out, gets the ball out to DeAndre Stevens. DeAndre makes a really good move and gets a lot of yak yardage. And it was a dang good play to see. So that's one of your highlights you'll see here, as well as DeAndre's receiving touchdown against Lexington. He had a really good snag and turns it up the sideline and just, man, that dude is so fast. DeAndre this year already has 511 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's on a pace for a 1,500-yard season. This dude is lights out. And Grayson Williams, he has 726 yards passing already, and of course, 5 passing touchdowns for sure, and I'm sure a couple of more. And yeah, the Rockdale Tigers have looked great. We have also Raiden Hamilton getting up and climbing the ladder, playing defensive back in the end zone, going up and getting a hand on the ball, making a very athletic play for a potential touchdown pass. That was a touchdown saving pass deflection. So Raiden Hamilton is definitely someone that I know is very athletic, and he's going to help these Tigers all the way through. And the Eric Shepard's catch on the sideline, you have him making a great sideline catch, and Miss Zenner, such a sweet woman. She sent me all these emails with these videos, and it's really something that we're just now putting into the show. And so, thank you to her. for the video she sent and the stuff we get to bring you, as well as Ernest Alderete. You see him shed a big block and get a tackle for the loss. Ernest Alderete is a really good compliment and something that's going to really help this Tigers defensive front. And I've seen him blow up a couple of plays already. So Ernest Alderete is going to be somebody really worth watching. All right, so Rockdale will travel to Giddings this week. Rockdale's actually got a 19. They're negative 19. They think they're going to lose by more than 19 points, and I all credit to the Giddings Buffaloes and Coach Michael Adams. They had a really good win against Smithville, 40-7. They had a tough loss to Gerald, 20-14, and so similar scores offensively of what both offenses put up against Smithville, but our defense allowed a little bit more. This is a team that's only attempted 20 passes all year long. And so it will be up to the front seven of the Rockdale Tigers. This will be the difference of the game. I don't have it as a 19-point spread, and I honestly, this was one of the games I thought Rockdale would lose in my preseason predictions. But after seeing week 1 and 2, and seeing what they can do offensively, um, I think Rockdale can win this one. I really do. I think I'm going to go with Rockdale 24-21. It's not going to be a very high scoring game. I think we're going to see a lot of time click off the clock with them consistently running the ball and Giddings. And so it will be a quick game. Um, but I think Rockdale can answer the call. I think they're about to surprise some people. I think they can get this W. Uh, Moving forward, though, we are going to go to the Del Valley Cardinals. We have some videos from the Del Valley Cardinals. Thankful of the Cardinal Sports Network. I apologize. The Cardinal Sports Network and got permission from Coach Todd Patman for a few of the highlights we will be showing you from this game. And what a great game is Del Valley going 2-1 on this season with a 29-17 win over Leander. This week they have them as an 11-point favorite against the Copper's Cove Bulldogs. Do I think that's something that's feasible? Absolutely. I absolutely do. The way that our offensive line is playing lights out. We have Cannell Hodges already has 6 rushing touchdowns. He scored 2 from this last week's game. We have one of those highlights we'll show you where Cannell has such great vision, a really good cut, and he's just a bowling ball, man. The dude runs with a lean. I love the way that Cannell Hodges.
Mark Antony, 5 seconds on the play clock, and snaps it in. It's going to be Cannell Hodges walking in.
Has ran the rock this year. And surprise, surprise, Bradley Dent, the junior running back. You talk about really great footwork. This is one of the touchdowns this gentleman had against um, Leander, where you can see his quickness, the way he can just get up the field. This is actually, I believe, this is his tip, an assisted pass to himself, where he tipped the ball up and he got it and ran it in for a touchdown. The gentleman has 2 receiving touchdowns.
Mark Antony rolling out. He's in trouble. It releases. And off the fingertips and caught it. Yeah. 12-yard line. Del Valley walks it in for the
this year. 3 rushing. Bradley Dent, we are have a big loss with JJ. Joel Jordan hasn't suited up for 3 weeks, and Bradley Dent has definitely filled the void. And so when we get Joel Jordan back, this offense is going to be nasty. And not only that, you have Alex Marcantoni, who has already thrown 3 receiving touchdowns or 3 passing touchdowns this year, 2 to Dent, 1 to Caden Nunez. And so Marcantoni has been a really sound quarterback so far. Our defense has been lights out. Jeremiah Robinson. Before the game, I said we will need a big game out of Jeremiah Robinson. And Jeremiah Robinson comes out with the hat trick, forced fumble, fumble recovery, and a sack. And he had 6 tackles. The dude is amazing. And we have on this highlight here, we'll have where Jeremiah, you got to watch number 34. He's at the bottom of the screen. You see him come down that line. He plays down the line so well. Comes down the line, gets that popped out, gets the forced fumble, falls back on it. And that was a pivotal play for these Del Valley Cardinals. That's what we needed to turn the game as they were marching down to tie up or take the lead, and they were on their side of the field, and Jeremiah Robinson came up with a big play. Michael Dent led this defense.
1st and 10. And another handoff, this time right up the middle. Big stand-up tackle there for the Del Valle Cardinals.
10 tackles against the Lions, and he also had an interception, his second interception of the year. Michael Dent and Bradley Dent, these two juniors, brothers, are amazing to have on this Del Valle Cardinals football team. And then last but not least, Freddie Thomas with 4 tackles and another sack. We have a great defense with Carmelo Jones at linebacker. This dude has a nose for the ball. Carlos Salazar, Kenneth Hunt, Hayward, Coleman Patman has another block punt, 2 block punts on the year. Coleman Patman is just such a force, man. We have a really good team, and as we go into this week 2 matchup against the Coppers Cove Bulldogs, it's going to be a battle, and I think it's going to be a game that we could win by 11 points, but we're going to need the exact same play out of our defense. We're going to need those big plays in those crucial moments. The thing is, last week, they had Woodridge, who was a really good wide receiver. This year, Coppers Cove is a pass-heavy team, and they got a 6'4" wide receiver in Tristan Glass. He already has 406 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns. And here's the deal, is last week they had Woodridge, so we could even kind of put Patman to shadow him and mimic him, and then kind of quarterback spy the quarterback who was very elusive. And it worked out great. This week they got 2 wide receivers. They got a 6'5" receiver in Arthur Miller, who has 14 receptions and 259 yards, 1 touchdown. So I probably would expect a lot of cover 2 with some man underneath. We'll get some man coverage on these big wide receivers with help over the top. I'm not too sure it's gonna be. It's gonna be. Last week it was on our defensive front. That's what I put it on, is for us to get pressure. And of course, we still need that pressure from our defensive front. But this week it's gonna roll into our secondary. I'm calling out our secondary. You guys have done great this season. We already have 4 interceptions on the season. We are going to have to put up good coverage this week against 2 great wide receivers, help over the top guys underneath. Hey, let's shut these wide receivers down. On the defensive side for Coppers Cove, they have Xavier Taclebon, who's already got 25 tackles in 3 games. Coppers Cove is 1-2 on the season. Coach Tony Johnson, his defense has allowed over 30 points every game. So they had a really tough loss to Glenn, 41-40. Then Bowie beat Glenn 42-21. They were actually down by 7 at halftime in that game. So matchups always depend on whoever you're playing. So it can't really say, oh, well, if we don't win by 21, we're not as good as Bowie. No, it's really a game of matchups. We got 11 chess pieces out there, and sometimes some are better than others, and it depends on how this matchup is. But it does give us some insight on what we will look like as far as how Bowie plays and compared to how we play against a really good Coppers Cove team. So moving forward, we are going to the Cameron Yeoman. The Cameron Yeoman have fell 0-3 on the season, and I don't think it's a time to panic at all. They lost on the road this past week to Maypearl 41-24. Cameron's Cade Hubnick. First and foremost, Cade Hubnick is a dog. I love the way this dude plays. He can run the ball, he can pass the ball, and he runs with authority. He's a bigger gentleman. He's got to be at least 200 pounds, and he's a solid rock. And he's broken long runs, 60 yards, 70 yards, and so Hubnick is a great leader for these Cameron Yeomen. And Coach Babineau didn't put any teams that he thought he could probably just beat this. Like, he's got a tough. Cameron itself has a tough pre-district, and it doesn't stop here. It continues next week whenever they go to Lorena, or when Lorena comes home to their home. And Lorena also, just like Coach Babineau, didn't put nobody easy on their schedule, as they went straight for the state winning team and the state runner-up in Malakoff and Franklin. Scheduled them first both weeks, 1 and 2, and 1 and week 1 and 2, And they played Franklin last week and lost, and they lost by like 21 points. So Lorena is a team that's still playing. Lorena has a really good team. Um, so it's going to be a really good game against Lorena, who has Brady Smedshammer, the 6'2" quarterback who has thrown 459 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's a very poised quarterback. But Xavier Gilmon, Elijah Goodrum, those dudes have been really good on defense this year. Xavier Gilmon is Mr. Consistent. Every time I've seen his stats, it's been 8 tackles on defense. You got Michael Keith. Michael Keith, the defensive end, had a 1.5 sacks, pretty much 2 sacks last week in the May Pearl game. And so Cameron has a lot of talent. I don't think it's a panic situation at all. Goodrum had 2 receiving touchdowns last week. Vargas catching another receiving touchdown. Goodrum, there's nothing that dude, him and Hubnick, there ain't nothing those dudes can't do. Those are some great athletes right there. And then you've had some players that were out that's missed some games, and they're really crucial pieces. As you could tell, Cameron has struggled in the pre-district. I think they'll go into Lorena and have their hands full again, or go have Lorena at home and have their hands full again. But I don't think this is at all a panic situation. You got the right coaching staff. You got hungry players. You got youth in your program, and you great senior leadership in Hubnick and Goodrum and plenty of others. But you will have to keep your eye on Lorena's running back, the sophomore running back. He's 6'4". He's got 4 touchdowns and 117 yards. He's a guy they're going to put in at the goal line, and so you're going to have to stop that guy. And Caleb Carrizales is the 4-year letterman with 263 yards and a receiving touchdown. Um, Defensively for these Lorena Leopards, the offensive line will have to get to the second level and get on Benjamin Lena, who is averaging 10 tackles a game. And so it's going to be a really good game. I'm hoping Cameron could pull this one off. I think it's going to be a really tough dogfight once again. But Cameron's returning some of those players that have been out due to injury, and I think you'll see a different game this week. So, last but not least, we're going to go on down to the Taylor Ducks, who are also 0-3 on the season with a tough loss to Lago Vista, 22-29. The Taylor Ducks, also a no panic situation. You got Coach Irvin Flowers and Coach Button over there, who are really great coaches that played at the next level, has the next level experience, has the next level mindset. The guys have been coached by great coaches in their past, and they bring a lot to this tailored to the Taylor football program. Now, with that being said, at 0-3, they didn't schedule anybody easy, and just like in Cameron, I think it's going to be the same situation this week. You're going to have a really tough game against LaGrange. LaGrange's head coach Kyle Cooper and the quarterback Clayton Cooper, the 6'1", 190-pound uh, quarterback that runs a 4.8 versus Columbus. He had 106 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, 139 passing, and another touchdown. LaGrange is good. LaGrange is going to be good, and they'll probably make another playoff run this year and probably win a few playoff games. But you're going to have to see what this is where your dogs are at. Taylor has played really good, and they have been in all of the games. A really tough week 2 loss, but other than that, um, Lawrence and Calico are starting to get their groove. Lawrence has already passed for 4 touchdowns and 571 yards. Calico, the freshman, has already got 285 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. So, and then Tutu Fisher's got 226 on the ground with 2 touchdowns. They got a tough pre-district, which is going to get them ready for district. I think I still have them taking second place in this district, and even though it's a tough start, it will have them prepared for this district play. And I'm not really too worried as far as Taylor's future. I think they're going to be just fine. Steven Rogers, 33 tackles, 1 interception, 2 forced fumbles so far this year. Tristan Vega has 3 fumble recoveries. And then you have Jarrell Robertson and Caddy Maravilla on the defensive line and getting to the quarterback. With those two defensively, your Taylor Ducks are going to be just fine. Offensively, as they find their identity, they'll keep giving that rock to Tutu and let him do his thing. And Lawrence and Calico are going to start grooving, and these Taylor Ducks are going to be something really good to watch come district time. Also, when it comes to the Lagrange game, watch out for Davon Gislam. I was watching the highlights. I saw it was number 18. I'm not sure who that running back is. I think it's number 18. But whoever that running back is beside Cooper can tote the rock, and he runs hard. So you're going to have to get somebody in there to stop that young man. Notable scores around the week. Westlake loses his first time outside of the playoffs. I don't know how long exactly, three seasons or so, but Tascasita takes them down 39-21. The Round Rock Dragons take out Vista Ridge 33-7. Granger gets its first win of the season 27-22 against a really good Holland team. LBJ in my preseason predictions and them being in Taylor's district, I really think LBJ has a chance to make a state run and possibly win it. At least quarter semifinals, and LBJ was number 8 this year. They take out number 2, Wimberley, 27-16. Salado with a big win over Giddings, 53-14. Hutto and Cedar Ridge in a shootout. Hutto pulling out its first 6A win of the year, 63-56. McNeil puts a big win against Westwood, 35-14. Granger Griffith, Stony Point. Man, what a game. 35-28. Stony Point is going to be for real this year. I had them 5th in this district. This district is going to be a toss-up. I mean, everybody. This is going to be one of them and Rockdale and Cameron's districts are going to be the toughest districts that I'm covering this year, and it's anybody's ball game in those districts. Bowie 42, Glenn 21, Aikens with a shutout 30-0 against Maynard New Tech. Lagrange with a big win 52-7 against Smithville. Franklin 42, Lorena 21. And so it's a great week. We're going to get you some more. We're going to do more highlights, hopefully. I'm thinking at the max, 5 highlights a team. We'll get some Cameron. We'll get some Taylor here down the road. I'll be working on that. I have a lot of people that have been helping out as far as Randall Stewart, Jake Ness, Kendra Pinchback, Nancy Zenner. There's a lot of people and from each community. Coach Patman allowing me to do these highlights and the Cardinal Sports Network. Um, it's gonna really try. And on my Del Valle highlights, I had a screen record because I don't know how to do YouTube editor yet. So it's a process, and we're working on it. And it's just something as we can continue to bring you Central Texas football, bring you some of your favorite plays from your favorite athletes, from your hometown heroes. Getting some of these kids the exposure that they want, the need, the stuff they can look back on here in years to come, and remember the good days, the good old football days. And so we're going to continue to bring you Central Texas football right here on Heard It Here First. Guys, hit that like and subscribe. I thank each and every one of you for tuning in, and tune in next week as we will bring you week 4 review and another game of the week, as I think it's Taylor and Maynard New Tech will be the game of the week next week. Check out Wednesday's Hutto and Maynard game of the week, as we're going to break down the Hutto games. We're going to break down the Maynard games, and we're going to give you an idea of what to expect in this Maynard Hutto 6A District 25 game of the week. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.